Dear students, welcome to the session 48 of Water Resource Engineering subject for the 5th semester civil students. In this session, we are going to discuss about the unit 6 of groundwater engineering. Myself, Madhu NS, working as a lecturer in Government Polytechnic, Harapanahalli. In this session, we are going to discuss about aquifer properties of a soil or a rock mass. In the previous session 47, you learned about aquifer, aquiclude, aquitard and aquifuse. In this session, we are going to study in detail about the aquifer properties like porosity, groundwater yield, specific retention, permeability, transmissibility and artificial recharge of groundwater. After this session, the learner will able to know about the porosity, about the groundwater yield, about the specific yield and specific retention, about the permeability and transmissibility of the aquifers, and also the artificial recharge of groundwater. Let's move to the properties of an aquifer. The first property is the porosity. The porosity of a rock or a soil is defined as the ratio of total volume of voids to the total volume of soil and is usually expressed as percentage. It is defined mathematically by the equation N equals VV by V into 100, where N is porosity, VV is the total volume of voids, V is the total volume of soil. This picture shows the three-phase diagram of the soil mass. Actual soil mass contains the soil particles and voids. These voids constitute air and water. This is the three-phase diagram of the soil mass. If you take a saturated soil sample, that saturated soil has only two phases. The complete voids is occupied by the water. If you take the dry soil sample, the complete void space is occupied by air content. The volume of voids is the summation of volume of air and volume of water. Now let's move on to the next concept, groundwater yield. Yield is a measure of how much of and how quickly groundwater can be extracted from an aquifer. The yield is generally higher in large aquifers that have greater storage capacity. The yields tends to be lower and more inconsistent in the shallow upper aquifer, and this yield is better in deeper, middle and also lower aquifers. The next concept is specific yield. The specific yield of a soil or a rock is the ratio of volume of water that drains from a saturated rock or a soil owing to the attraction of gravity or by pumping from wells to the total volume of saturated aquifer and is usually expressed as percentage. This specific yield is defined mathematically by the equation Sy is Wv divided by V into 100, where Sy is specific yield of an aquifer and Wv is the volume of water drained and V is the bulk volume of the soil or rock. This specific yield is particularly to the volume of water that drains from a saturated rock, and this force is the gravitational force. Another properties, that is specific retention of an aquifer. This specific retention of a soil or a rock is the ratio of volume of water it will retain after saturation against the force of gravity to its own volume. It is also usually expressed as percentage. It is defined mathematically by the equation SR equals WR divided by V into 100, where SR is specific retention, WR is volume of water retained, and V is the bulk volume of the soil or rock. Now let's know about the relationship between porosity, specific yield and specific retention. Since the volume of water yield, that is Wy, and volume of water retained, that is Wr, constitute the total volume of water in a saturated material, it is apparent that porosity is equal to the sum of specific yield and the specific retention. This is denoted as the porosity N equals the specific yield Sy plus specific retention Sr. The value of specific yield depends upon the grain size, shape and distribution of intricities and also the compaction of stratum. The intricity is nothing but the porous space present in the soil. It may, however, be noted that fine grained materials yield little water, whereas coarse grained materials permit a substantial release of water. The next properties is the permeability. The permeability is the ease with which the water can flow in a soil formation. It depends on the characteristics of the soil or a rock as well as the flowing fluid. It is measured in terms of coefficient of permeability. Now let's know about the permeability of different soil. Here in this picture, the permeability for the gravel, sand, silt and clay has been analyzed. The same quantity of water is poured in a same volume of gravel, sand and silt and clay. The time taken for the water to pass through the gravel has been noted. It took 2 minutes. In case of sand, it took 20 minutes. In case of silt, it took 2 hours. In case of clay, it took 2 days. By observe this diagram, we can give a conclusion that the gravel is more permeable than sand. Sand is more permeable than silt, and silt is more permeable than clay. Straight away we can say that the clay is less permeability and gravel is more permeable. Now let's move on to the next concept, coefficient of permeability. The coefficient of permeability is defined as the rate of flow of water per unit cross sectional area of aquifer under a unit hydraulic gradient in a given period of time. And this coefficient of permeability is commonly referred to as hydraulic conductivity of the soil. So this also called as hydraulic conductivity of the soil. It is an important factor when determining the rate at which a fluid will actually flow through a particular type of soil. And this coefficient of permeability is very important. This coefficient of permeability has a dimensions of velocity. That's why it is expressed as a millimeter per second or centimeter per second or meter per second and denoted by the letter K. The next concept is coefficient of transmissibility. The coefficient of transmissibility is defined as the rate of flow of water through a vertical strip of aquifer of unit width and extending for the full saturated height under unit hydraulic gradient. The coefficient of transmissibility is denoted as T is equal to the coefficient of permeability multiplied by the aquifer thickness, that is B. Straight away we can write the coefficient of transmissibility T equals the aquifer thickness B into coefficient of permeability of that aquifer. The value of T for a confined aquifer can be determined by pumping test or recovery test method. Now let's move on to the next concept called artificial recharge of groundwater. The artificial recharge is the process of spreading or impounding a water on the land to increase the infiltration through the soil and percolation to the aquifer, or of injecting a water by wells directly into the aquifer. The surface infiltration system can be used to recharge the unconfined aquifers. You might have studied these confined aquifers, unconfined aquifers in the previous session 47. The method of artificial recharge may be grouped under two broad types. Number one, the water spreading technique. Number 2, well injection techniques. Look at this picture. Here we are going to recharge the unconfined aquifer artificially by injecting method or spreading the water. Observe here through this tube well they are artificially supplying a water. If you doing this, the groundwater table level will rise in that unconfined aquifer. What is the necessity of this artificial recharging a well? Why it is required? It is required to overcome the inadequacy of waters to meet our demands. When there is a scarcity for water, during that time we can utilize the underground source water by artificial recharging method. To enhance the availability of groundwater at a specific place and time, and we can utilize the excess rainwater to increase the infiltration of rainwater in the subsoil, which has decreased drastically in urban areas due to the paving of open area. To improve the groundwater quality by dilution technique. If the groundwater has need a dilution, that can be done by using artificial recharging a well. In order to increase the agricultural production, we have to increase the groundwater table. That can be achieved using artificial recharging a well. So what is the advantages in artificial recharge of the well? The cost of recharge to the subsurface reservoir is lower than the surface reservoir. In surface reservoir, we required large area, whereas in subsurface reservoir, that chances will never arise because you are recharging the subsurface reservoir. It won't submerge any valuable lands. Another advantage is the groundwater is not directly exposed to the evaporation and pollution. So our groundwater will be safe from evaporations, that means loss we can be prevent, and also we can safeguard our groundwater by the pollution from the external factors. It increases the productivity of an aquifer. If you recharge the groundwater well artificially, the yield of an aquifer will increase. By adopting this artificial recharging a well, it can mitigate the effect of drought. It increases the availability of water from the well. For preparing this session, the references and textbooks are H.S. Vishwanath, Water Resource Engineering, Dr. P.N. Modi, Irrigation Water Resource and Water Power Engineering. Now, let's move to the multiple choice questions. Dear students, you can answer these questions. The ratio of volume of voids and the total volume of soil mass is called as porosity, specific yield, supercapillary, subcapillary. The answer for this question is porosity. The definition of porosity says the volume of voids to the total volume of soil mass. Let's answer for the second question. The question is the ratio of volume of water that after saturation can be drained by gravity to its whole volume is specific retention, permeability, specific yield, none of the above. Students, please answer for this. The answer is C, that is specific yield. Now let's answer for the question number 3. The question is the ratio of volume of water it will retain after saturation against the force of gravity to its own volume. Let's see the options. Specific retention, permeability, specific yield, none of the above. Try to answer for this question. Okay, now see the solution for this. The answer is A, that is specific retention. Okay, let's move on to the second question. The correct relationship between porosity, specific yield and specific retention is, okay, see the options. N is equal to Sy plus Sr, N is equal to Sy plus Sr, N is equal to Sy minus Sr, and none of the above. The correct answer is A, N is equal to Sy plus Sr. Okay, let's move to the next question. The rate of flow of water per unit cross-sectional area of aquifer under a unit hydraulic gradient is, let's see the options. Coefficient of permeability, surface retention, permeability, all of the above. Okay, try to answer for this question. Now see the solution. The solution is coefficient of permeability. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The coefficient of permeability has the dimensions of velocity and it is usually expressed in second per millimeter, millimeter per second, kg per second, none of the above. The answer for this, millimeter per second. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. The coefficient of transmissibility is given by T equals B square into K. Next option. T is equal to B plus K. Next option. T is equal to B into K square. Next option. T is equal to B into K. Okay, try to answer for this. Now see the answer. The answer is T is equal to B into K. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The artificial recharge methods are listed below. Choose the correct one. Okay, students, let's see the options. Well injection technique, water spreading technique, both A and B, none of the above. Okay, try to answer this. Artificial recharge methods. What are all the methods? Okay, let's see the answer. The solution is both A and B, well injection technique and also water spreading technique. Okay, students, I hope that you understand it about the aquifer properties. Now you can define an aquifer based on their properties. With this, I am going to end the session now. Thank you all.